symbols paved in the streets. I don't blame the weak sheep for staying asleep and embracing the matrix that you were raised to believe.
Moses Flows bring us in back on the Big Plantation. We're here with our guest segment of the show, Derrick Broze of Houston Freethinkers and host of The Conscious Resistance. Among being an activist, Derrick is also an independent writer and journalist for various outlets like The Activist Post, Ben Swan, and Anti-Media. Derrick, do we have you on the line?
What's going on, man?
What's going on? Good to have you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Not a problem. So, why don't we get right into, you had an event you're planning. You're going across the country, right?
Yep, I am planning a bicycle journey. I'm taking a bicycle tour. I've done this once before, 2 years ago, and I'm going out in late April, early May, headed towards California. First, I'm headed from Houston, Texas, towards Los Angeles for the United We Stand Festival that's going to be held at UCLA. I'm going to go there and do a little bit of work and just connect with some other people out there. I'm going to go say what's up to Adam Kokesh and his team there, and also going to be helping launch the San Diego Freethinkers. And after that, I'll be taking a couple other stops going back towards Oklahoma and then Nevada and Utah. And
anything
back towards Houston and go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, anything involving pleasure along the trip, since you're going all the way across the country? I can only imagine it's going to take forever.
Oh, definitely for, pleasure as well. There's, some, I guess, deeper reasons for the trip for me. I did it a couple of years ago, as I mentioned. It was one of the best times of my life, and I definitely enjoy being able to go out and celebrate the freedom that, we all fight for in different ways, as, in our own ways, whatever that may be. And I just want to take time to go out and appreciate that and enjoy that freedom. But also, the second leg of the tour is I'm going to be planting non-GMO seeds out of my supply. I have a gardening business out here in Houston, and I'm going to be planting those seeds along the way. We're going to be documenting the whole process and stopping at farms and just different community networks that are already working on solutions in different parts of the country and talking to them, and we're going to turn that whole process into a documentary as well. But there'll definitely be some time where, like, the first leg of the tour headed from Houston to LA is just going to be, I'm not going to be communicating in any way. I'm just going to have some good 10 to 12, 14 days of just being out there and making my way.
Derrick, if you could kind of expand on, why you're choosing to take a bicycle trip and things like that. I know you're very big into kind of, know thyself and introspection and things like that. My best friend, Kyle, has done these kinds of trips where he made it from here all the way to here in Pennsylvania, all the way to Mexico, to into California by hiking, even hitchhiking. He's all the way in Colorado right now from doing it that way from here in Pennsylvania, and he always described it as just something that really got him in tune with himself. In tune with things around him. Kind of expand on that experience, because that kind of nomadic way of living is something that is just gone from our society now. What is it that you personally get out of that?
Oh, that's definitely a big part of it, man. I mean, for me, past few years I've really gotten into different spiritual practices that relate to shamanism, and I didn't really know much about it at the time that I left, when I left January 3rd in 2011, but it was very much a physical shamanic journey as much as a mental one. And by that I mean going out there into nature and just being out there with myself, and really helped me recognize what I value, what's important to me. I'm just out there every day. Last time I was volunteering on farms when I was traveling, and just had my bicycle. I had a little bit of food with me, and it's basically every day I would wake up and I had my transportation, I had my house, which was the tent I was staying at, or whatever farm I was staying at, and the only thing, I needed to do was just to ride my bike or to, do whatever I wanted to do. It was just this really, really, really big sense of freedom, and it also had just different stressors. It was really a lesson, and, no matter what you do also, that no matter what kind of life you choose, there's going to be different stressors in different ways. But it really helped me show me what I value, and also just want me to come back and get involved in activism, which is what I did after the trip. But in a lot of ways, it definitely is related to knowing yourself and just having time like that. And even, we talk about meditation or things like that, just having 5 to 10 minutes a day with yourself to work your way through your thoughts or whatever you may want to do at that time. A lot of people don't even have that, much less, days or weeks alone with their own mind and just nature. So it's a deep experience, and it's a valuable one, and I enjoy doing it. And it's taken me a few years just being back in the city and staying busy, involved in the community to get to the point where I felt like I was ready to do this and, tie it into some cool projects and also use the network that I've grown over the past few years. But a lot of the trip is going to be kind of falling off the map for a while, just getting away and getting out there.
Yeah, and it's such a stark contrast from what we know, how we live our lives normally, and I think that even goes with people who are not in the train of thought that we are, or involved in the kind of information that we're involved in. I think even if you are part of pop culture and mainstream and all that kind of thing, there's kind of these weird social pressures to be competitive about things that me and you would be consider minuscule or dumb. Like people have social pressures on who knows the most about sports, or have you seen this episode of this show, and or whatever. But then again, even with us, I know me personally, I definitely place a value on meditation and things like that. And the times that I have gotten in touch with that part of myself, I definitely got something out of it. But it's just so hard. Everything's so fast paced. I wake up and I know I personally think about, all right, I need to post the news. I need to try and read as much as the news. I need to think about my guests. I need to do all this. And for God's sakes, I only do the show once a week. And I know you're involved in a lot of projects. What kind of things? It seems like everything just moves so fast paced. What kind of things can you recommend to people to kind of just slow it down a little bit and kind of bring it back down to earth a little bit?
Well, I do have a few different practices that I try to do on a semi-regular basis to slow myself down and all that. But man, I'm just as guilty as everyone else as far as staying busy as hell. And I think that's just, I don't know, the way we're evolving forward. We're just living busy, extremely busy lives, and a lot of it connected to the internet and to technology and stuff like that. But beyond that, it's definitely hugely important to have time to yourself and to step away from the crazy busyness out there that we all deal with, and meditation is great with that. Different types of meditation. And whenever I talk about meditation, I try to remind people that doesn't necessarily mean, sitting in lotus position, floating like a Buddha and having your hands in different mudras and stuff like that. It's just as simple as, like I said earlier, it's about getting into that right zone. Like, for me, meditation can also be when I'm riding my bike through the city or when I'm drumming. Sometimes you just need 5 to 10 minutes just to sit with your thoughts and to work through them. Other times it's helpful to just let those thoughts sort of float there and to let your mind be as blank as possible and just, count your breath and just concentrate on that. Other times, you want to try to visualize what it is you're trying to improve in your life. So there's different types of meditations and practices like that are all about empowering you on the mental side of things, because we understand the way that we're bombarded with political propaganda, and there's also a side to this battle that we're dealing with for freedom that is very much a spiritual battle. And I mean, like, that's a battle to break you down mentally, to break
Absolutely.
You down in the sense of your attachment to other humans, to our species, to our planet, to all these different ways that we sever ourselves, and that is done by design. And so I think it's important for us to revive our interest in that, to revive our connection to each other, and you have to start with yourself, of course. And to me, it also works perfectly in the philosophy of voluntarism or something like that, is that it's about taking care of your own self and starting with yourself and seeing that that's where it's really going to happen, whether you're dealing with a political philosophy or trying to change, the deeper root causes of the issues we deal with, trying to change, the consciousness.
Well, and the last time that you were on the broadcast, I actually asked you a question. We, like I said before, I'm a pagan and I do a lot of different meditations throughout my lifestyle, my spirituality. One of the things that I've been feeling recently, especially when I like search for types of moments of clairvoyance, is I'm feeling an overwhelming negativity around. I'm feeling this overwhelming, like almost dead feeling. And I was kind of interested to see if maybe you've felt this kind of same atmosphere about at least recently in this coming year.
So you're saying you've had a feeling or a sense of some type of negative something negative coming?
It's sort of like a cannonball, sitting in the base of my stomach.
I think I know what you mean. I pick up on it. I mean, I've even posted recently about how sometimes I feel like just crying for humanity, because I feel like this conversation that we're having, this level of depth of knowing yourself is just gone from most of the people, and that manifests itself in a lot of negative ways. And when you tap into that, it's almost like this, like this draining, like feeling of what could be.
Yeah, I mean, typically something that I feel is I feel very abundance of life around me, because a lot of times when I meditate, I go outside, I sit on rocks in the forest or something, around a stream. I used to feel this overwhelming sense of like life and abundance and, prosperity, positivity. And this year especially, I don't know whether it's because I live in the Northeast and we've had the longest winter in history or what it is, but I do feel this overwhelming sense of negativity bringing us into this year.
Oh, wow, yeah. I can't personally say that I've had any, premonitions or type of feelings recently that would indicate to me something negative, but I will say that I believe that ultimately we're headed towards a positive direction, but in some senses it seems obvious that in order for us to get to this more positive place, this more positive way of living, this more, I don't want to say universal, but interconnected way of living and thinking about things, that these institutions that many people have become dependent on are going to have to go, and that is either going to be because eventually the people wake up to them and just throw their chains off, or because they're unsustainable themselves and they're going to collapse on their own. But one way or another, we seem to recognize that these systems are going to have to go the way of a life that many are accustomed to is not going to exist for much longer. So I think that could be, hinted at as something that could be seen as negative coming in the future. But I myself haven't had any specific...
Well, for example, Derrick, and we got about 10 minutes, and I want you to be able to get time to plug your book and everything, but it's just really refreshing to have these kind of conversations, and I've always wanted to have these kind of interpersonal conversations on the show. Like, I don't know if I could speak for Jamie on this one, but me personally, and I know we talked about it the last time you were on the show, you personally have come from a dark place in your past, and I think you can definitely be a good example for a lot of people for that. And I know... For example, I still, to this day, struggle with depression. And, I posted it on my my Facebook the other day of how I was just having a really rough time of it the past, 3 days. And I think my issue, and I think what I was speaking about a little bit earlier about, just the state of humanity, the thing that gets me the most depressed is that I feel like, in general, being in tune to what I'm in tune with, knowing what I know, taking the stances that I take, doing the actions that I do, living the lifestyle that I do, it makes me feel in a lot of ways just disconnected from a lot of from most people, you know what I mean? And I feel like that people can pick up on these differences, and it causes a lot of rejection, where as me, naturally, I want to connect with people, you know what I mean? And this goes in a wide variety of relationships, but you never feel anything like that? I understand that a lot of it has to do with perspective, and I agree that ultimately we're moving towards more freedom, and more of our philosophy being relevant and things like that. But do you never see the glass is half empty kind of aspect of it, or?
Well, I do occasionally feel like I can get down, but I feel like I've also spent a lot of time working on being more optimistic. And actually, I don't even want to say optimistic, but because that seems like there's some false sense of it, but being realistic in my perception of what I've seen happen, and even the fact that we're able to have these conversations, and that people like you and I and Jamie and everyone else who's been doing this for years now, we have the opportunity to become the new media and to take things into a new direction. There's just a lot of positive things that I do see happening. But if you don't mind, what I would like to say about what you were just expressing, that I have as well had similar experiences in the past, is that I think that perhaps, you know, there's just certain fears and doubts that you're experiencing there, and those are sometimes contributing towards the way you're going to see things and your perception maybe of what you believe other people have and or what other people may see you as. Because I tend to try to think of it as that there are a lot of people out there who are aware of things, whether they recognize it or not. But on a surface level, I feel like there's a lot of people who generally recognize that things are not good and that, you know, they could be better. But we've also been propagandized and sort of duped into believing that we have no power and that, you know, we're just dependent on the state and all those type of things. So I try to, I guess, give people the benefit of the doubt, and also I know that there's people. What gives me hope is to do things like this, man, because, like, I'm all the way out here in Houston. You guys are over there. There's people, like, you know, all over the country, all over the world that, you know, we work with and talk through who are doing the same damn thing that we're doing, but doing it in their own ways and, like, making really awesome stuff happen. So to me, it's just, like, we're doing everything that is possible right now, and whatever the hell happens, like, that's, I think, what matters is that people see that there are real people who are ready to devote their lives and put as much passion as they possibly can, and sometimes to the point of being unhealthy, but we have to be there and help each other get through those times. And everybody can do different things. Some people would rather watch through the internet and donate financially and help out in that way. That's important. And other people spend every waking moment writing articles or doing radio shows, and everybody fights in their own way, and I think it's all important. So to me, I just tend to see that there is plenty of good happening. And I also, going back to the spiritual philosophy, there's a quote from Buddha where he's just describing meditation and also just non-attachment, and basically, like, I try to float above these things, like, you know, write articles, I do all these different things and stay busy like you guys, but I try to not be attached to situations. You know, I just see them for what they are, just situations playing out. They're just nature taking its course, and I am not outside of nature, and my course and my job, my role is to do what I'm doing to make things better. And so that's all I know that I'm supposed to do. It's what I feel called to do. And maybe that sounds crazy, but I think a lot of us may feel that way and, you know, don't know what else we're supposed to do with our lives. So I feel like I've dedicated my life to this, and so have you guys. And so this is, like, what we're here to do, and let's fucking do it.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, that even just hearing that was was comforting to me. And I think it boils down to you know, our tagline here on the Big Plantation, something that really hit me hard when I first got into the movement was, and our tagline is, "You're not alone." And that was the single biggest thing that, like, I always had an interest, but when I first got into this kind of information and I wasn't connected to anybody before I met people like Keith Smith or Mike Salvi and stuff like that, I was incredibly angry. I was very, very angry. I felt completely separated from people in school and stuff like that, and it made me very angry and at them for being, what in my view, so dumb, you know. And this is my 19-year-old self speaking. So you know, but then as I started putting myself out there and doing things that could be seen as silly, putting cardboard signs up in trees with spray paint on them, you know what I mean, stuff like that around town,
spray painting bridges.
I don't know what you're talking about, but doing stuff like that and just putting a flag up there, essentially, as people found me, and then I found this whole undercurrent, this whole underground movement of people. That was the single, probably most powerful impact in my life, where I just said, oh my, it was just a light bulb, a snap of the fingers. It was, oh my God, I'm not alone. And just like you said, let's fucking do this. We can do this. That was the single biggest thing to me in my life. So that I think is extremely powerful, to remember that we're not alone, even in our moments of doubt, even in our moments of vulnerability and weakness. I know I have them. You know, there's been times where, you know, I'm going through a rough time in my personal life now. I have been for a while, and I've thought about hanging it up for a little while, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I definitely understand that feeling, man. And I'm glad to hear you say that, dude. I love the tagline because that's such a huge, important statement, and such a simple one as well, to remind people that they're not alone. And I think that's one of the like you said, it's one of the biggest lessons. When we have our monthly Freethinker meetings here at the Freethinker House, usually every time we get new people who come, one of the first things they say is like they felt like they were alone. They couldn't talk to their family. They couldn't talk to their friends. They thought they were crazy when they started, waking up to different issues and trying to get involved and wanting to do something about it. They were just happy to know there were other people out there, and it's a really huge relief for them, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to bring to others. And that's what gives me hope, is because everything that we're doing through the internet and through communicating ideas like this, there's always new minds waking up every single day, and as long as that continues to happen, there's nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. So, all right, we got about 3 minutes before the break. I know you're working on a book, and God, that was a lot of projects. I know I'm a pretty busy guy, but you might have me pretty beat. Just go into all your projects, your book, everything.
Yeah. Okay. So, if anybody wants to hear more about the trip that we mentioned earlier, you can go to the website. The website's theconsciousresistance.com. But the book is also called The Conscious Resistance. The full title is The Conscious Resistance: Reflections on Anarchy and Spirituality. And I'm writing that with John G. Vibes. Some people may know him he writes for the IntelliHub, and he also has written other books. And
he's a cool
good
guy.
Yeah. He's also a promoter based out there in Maryland. So he's a good guy and a good friend of mine, and we're coming together and collaborating on this book. We're hoping to get it out by the end of the year, and it's basically gonna, look at different topics. We've got a good list of ideas right now, but different topics that relate to spirituality, such as Buddhism, shamanism, the Tao, maybe even take a look at Christianity and some of the similarities and some of the ideas we see in there between the philosophy of anarchy. So we're going to be looking at just a lot of interesting ideas, and really trying to write about a topic that we haven't seen many people touch, but the more and more that we explore these ideas, the more that we recognize that there are other people out there who consider themselves to be both self-governed anarchists, if you will, and also interested in things like spirituality and, things outside the five senses, people who are into the counterculture and just to psychedelic therapy and stuff like that. I think will enjoy the book. So we're working on that pretty heavy now and starting to promote it better. We should have that out by the end of the year, early 2015. And yeah, I've just been building the Conscious Resistance Network. I'm actually about to get ready for my show, and starts, I think, after your guys' show. But if anybody wants to find anything else about what I do or my work with the Houston Freethinkers, you can check the HoustonFreethinkers.com or theconsciousresistance.com. I appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. And, thanks for joining us. That was really a refreshing conversation. I mean that. I honestly feel like refreshing having that conversation. It's nice to connect with people, just like you said. It's so it really means a lot to me, because I honestly do still struggle with these kinds of things sometimes, and being able to connect with somebody, it just really shakes that feeling for what it is, and that is as you said, it's a mechanism of my own fears and doubts that dominates my mind and tricks me into forgetting the reality of the positivity, and that is just a psychological mechanism that has been put on us by these power structures to make us feel powerless, in order to acquiesce to them, to give up our own power to them. It's so deep and it's so powerful. It's crazy. So
I definitely don't let go of that shit, man. Let go of it. You're a badass, dude. I'm working on the same thing too. All of us deal with that. Just let go of it, man. But thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Anytime, man. So, heavy conversation. We will be back after this break. We're going to be talking about Rand Paul and just the changes
and my special surprise. Hopefully,
and your special surprise. Hopefully not too special, but got a lot to talk about at the last half hour. Big Plantation. Thanks for joining us.